I'm representing the International Academy of CIO and ITU for academic communities, as well as the some other functions which I have. APEC E-Government Research Center, and UNESCO for disaster education, and the Japanese government, Japanese MIC as the advisory member of the ministers, and so on and so on. So thank you for inviting me to very excellent meetings today, and I really appreciated your attendance, and also opening remarks by ITU Secretary General Touré and Honorable Minister Anudis of MICT. My topic is the international scene of e-government and CIO from the perspectives of the academia. And we can compare with the Smart Thailand, which is a very successful strategies and plan for ICT development in not only in ASEAN but in the world. And I'm very keen to progress of the Smart Thailand from now on. My objective of my presentations has three very small categories. One is for international participants coming to Bangkok. I hope you really understand the real progress of Thai e-government and ICTs. For Thai professionals and CIOs, you may understand the best practice from the presentations of major countries, which will take place until the late afternoon. Also for both group, Thai and international communities, we can understand global new trends. You know, technology is very rapidly progressing, and world innovations is also in the new shape of the ICT communities. So we can really understand both international perspectives as well as the Thai Smart Thailand. I have been to these countries since 1968 when I was a student of the Japanese universities. It's a long, long time ago. Since then, maybe you may be surprised how many times I'm here in Bangkok. It's more than 80 times. And I'm very, very contributed to the Thai International Airlines. You know. So since we have the very limited time to explain about the world trends on e-government, also CIO, I just summarize the 11 new trends which we are thinking about, or each government is taking care. One is very popular now, is the cloud computing. When cloud computing introduced to Japan 6-7 years ago, nobody understands cloud computing. But now we're using the cloud computing outsourcing systems from the central government to local government as the usual activities. Big data is also new for most of the countries, but it makes a very good business in the future, I hope, and I'll tell you later again. And BCP for disaster is important in Japan and Thailand because we have many disasters every year. And BCP is the business continuity plan. So we should be very keen to the sustainability of the societies. Even we have some natural disasters or artificial disaster like a cyber attack or some other incidents. Number 4 is the social media. It's really important among the citizens. If we say the e-government for people's citizens should be citizen-centric, consumer-oriented way of e-government, maybe with the social media. And the social media will be becoming powerful and powerful. So we may have the very important communications on the social media, especially Facebook and Twitters and so on. Number 5 is the digital inclusions, e-participations. Still there are a number of the peoples, citizens who has very difficulties to access to broadband, around the ICT facilities, especially handicapped peoples as well as the aging peoples. And e-participation is also very high priorities in these societies. And I'm the member of the United Nations DESA, Economic and Social Councils, for reviewing the e-participations towards the United Nations Millennium Development Goals. And we had just a meeting in Geneva 1 month ago. So e-participations and digital inclusion is a really hot issue for citizen-centric societies. Number 6 is cybersecurity and privacy protections. It's a little bit difference between the cybersecurity issues against the privacy protections, but we should improve the situations. Otherwise, no citizen can believe the online services of e-government. Number 7 is mobile government. In Smart Thailand, the Dr. Surachai, the Panam Secretary, introduced the public Wi-Fi network all over the Thailand. It's very important project from the international point of view because it's not so expensive. It's a low cost of the network and easy to access. So a public Wi-Fi network in Thailand might be a test bed for global societies. And number 8 is open government, open data. It's not from the big data. And the government should be open in terms of all the data. They should not hide something behind as red tape. So among the OECD countries, it's developed countries like European, Japan, United States, we have these special committees at the OECD ICCP, which govern the new guideline of the open data in Paris. And we have the meetings quite often. So people who pay the tax to the government should know what is going on in government or for government, for the people by government. So that's the concept of the open government. Number 9 is the government 2.0 as the web applications. So we are really accessing the portals and web URL of the government But just you can think about the differentiation between the central government and local government in terms of the portals. And some country has the different standard of the portal, national portals, URL. No, very difficult for us to understand the same issues in different countries. So web application should be standardized. That's an issue. And one-stop service, number 10, is another issue. We have the many ministries and agencies and local government. And once we change our address, we have to go to city hall. We have to go to a police office. We have to go to a health office, so on and so on. It takes quite a number of the times. So if we have the one-stop service, it's very efficient for our work and life. So this is the concept, and Singapore is one of the top nations for one-stop services. And last one is the interoperability and the standardizations. We are traveling a lot from Japan to Thailand many times. If we have the interoperabilities, like a standardization of the passport or custom of the product for export import, we can shorten the transactions from 3 days to 3 hours. That's a concept for interoperabilities. And in APEC, Asian Pacific Economic Cooperation, we have the project run by the Russians, and I'm one of them to join. And if we have the very good custom system for internationals, all the transaction goods might be more efficient way. So this is a part of the e-government. So I tell you some of them as the priorities. Open government is as the transparency and the public accountabilities. What is the characteristics of open government? One is the agile and the friendly access of public services. Second, the real-time government information services. We need the real-time services. We should not wait for 2-3 days to get the answer, to get the application form or something. Also, applications of social networking to enhance interactions. Social network is quite important, I said. Utilization of open data for business. If we have the government data for business, might be a very good market. If you say forecasting of weather, you can get some information from a TV or radio or newspapers, even from government, but they have quite intensive data on weather forecast, climate change, so on. And that should be very important for customers or for the citizens to get the access to this information, not only weather forecast, but the forecast of the earthquake, for example, or river flood. If we can understand the 3 months ago or before, maybe we can prepare the something very efficiently. And application as public-private partnership, e-government is not only for government, should be for the peoples as well. So I should say e-communities with e-government. So that is PPP. And transparency of e-government as e-democracy is very important for open government. And e-democracy, digital inclusion, anti-corruption is part of the transparencies if we can. So these are a new type of the government called open government. And big data of the government, which we can utilize for new industries. You know, as I said, there is huge amount of the data which a government can keep. Some of them is so important, like national securities or diplomacies. Maybe we cannot get it, but any kind of the commercial applications by government information should be open, like e-health, space business, e-government, disaster management. Because private sector sometimes very, very efficient to work on vis-a-vis government. So private sector can work for government if they have the big data. And regarding disasters, it's March 11, 2 years ago, we had a huge tsunami and, of course, earthquake in East Japan, and very recently, super typhoon in Philippines. What's the activities against this disaster by e-government or chief information officers as the leader of the ICT? The one important role of e-government for disaster preparedness and management is the BCPs, business continuity plans, and asking the private sectors for supply chain as the disaster management. Business continuity plan is so important. You know, once we have the river flood or earthquake or typhoons, our society should be sustainable for the futures. And only one part of the automobiles to manufacture the car. If we miss one part, very small bolt and nuts, the car cannot be assembled. It happened when we had the river flood of the Thailand, because many Japanese companies here in Thailand had the trouble with getting the recoveries for months. Then manufacturing plant in Japan is waiting for some part from Thailand. It's a part of the international supply chains. So everything is connected all over the world for a big business like manufacturers. So I think BCP is guided by the e-government and work with the, some other agencies on the emergencies and disaster recovery department. So you may have the lesson from best practice in Japan against disasters, because we had very severe disasters 2 years ago. And we have a lot of the experience now to introduce to other countries in the world. So it's really work of the chief information officer, because all the BCP and supply chains is really connected by internet. Internet is governed by a CIO. So you can think about the many things, you know. And the CIO used to be a kind of the officers for budgeting ICT and getting the new momentum for deploying the technology and innovations, or sometimes the cybersecurity issues, and mainly budgeting and planning strategies, and also governing the management of each agencies. It should be in the peaceful time. But when we have the crisis, like disasters, CIO should take the initiative of coordinating all agencies, because all the government is connected. That's why the CIO role is now expanded. And when we had tsunamis in Japan, human and economic loss by natural disaster, it's a huge amount of the monies, including government budget. And one of the data showing the our tsunamis, because the 3/11 disaster cost $50 billion in national economies. If we have very excellent e-government before that, maybe we can reduce the cost of the damage as a preparedness. So I'm really asking all the audience to think about the CIO for crisis management. And therefore, the qualitative change of the role of CIO is very eminent. I wrote many books on chief information officers and the government, more than 20 books already in English and in Japanese. But every year I'm thinking about the paradigm shift or transformation of the role of the CIO. And now we have the really understanding of the society environment and the new technologies, especially computer things like cloud computing, social media, big data, and smartphones. Also, we should emphasize the recognition of the disaster management and the cyber securities as the new role of the chief information officer. Otherwise, government has some mess, chaos for connecting all the broadband and the internet for new communications. And as ITU Secretary General Touré told you about the importance of academia in this field, even in the ITU activities, because government and the business industry has very good relations, but academia is a little bit isolated, very little contribution to societies in terms of the information societies. So he's emphasizing the active role of the universities, academia, in the information societies. And how ICT with e-government will contribute to national economic growth. I show you some of them as the case study of the Japan. Most advanced nations for ICT is our new strategic plannings adopted by cabinet of the Abe administrations last June this year, which saying the Japan can contribute to not only domestically but also internationally on the issue of the ICT and e-government. And our Waseda University team on the researching the e-government effect or synergy effect for the national economy and the government of Japan, we can reduce the budget by 20% if we implement excellent e-government. And also increase the work efficiency by 30%. It's a perfect if we have the very good e-government. Because, you know, ICT industry in Japan, or not only industry itself, ICT is very important vehicles for expanding the national economies. Just I show you the figures. ICT is the biggest economic impact on all industry in Japan. The ICT versus GDP will be 10.8%. It's quite a big numbers, you know. If you have the very stimulus package for expanding the ICT industries or business, your economies, national economy, going up very rapidly. But don't forget about the ICT as the tool of the implementations in other field of line of the field. ICT cannot survive by itself. You know, we have the e-health, e-education, or e-transportation, so on. Then you can use the ICT as the very excellent means of the productivities and efficiencies. And the Waseda University conducts the World E-Government annual rankings until this year. And the next year we have to change to Waseda and the International Academy of CIO together as a joint work. Since 2005, we introduced the list activities with the 55 countries, and including Thailand and many countries which participants can live in. And every year we have the numbering of the countries, and Thailand is very well done last year. So we can identify and facilitate the policies for the best practice of e-government development each countries, and we can learn the best practice of the other countries to introduce or apply for the countries which need it. So these lessons and experience on the best practice of e-government is very, very appreciated for the member government, and we are very happy to work on next year with IAC. And I can show you the indicators, and we have the 7 now, and including network preparedness as the broadband expansions and management optimizations as the awareness of the enterprise architectures, and e-services like online services for e-tax or e-health, so on. Also, you have the national portals. You know, it's a homepage of the government. Very easy to access in some national portals, but still we need some standardizations. And number 5, as a government CIO, is one of the very important priorities for us to evaluate. And e-government promotions. And the last one is the e-participations. So these are our indicators for evaluating each government every year. So I hope you can really contribute to this type of the international ranking surveys if you push your e-government activity as the CIO. I think it must be essential factors for thinking about some best practices in other countries. And this is quite difficult to show the slide, but I'm saying the promotion of the information system management. You know, we need the very accurate data on the inventory of the information and the communication asset. Like my university, Waseda University in Tokyo, we have 60,000 and we have the 3,000 academia staff. And frankly speaking, we don't know how many personal computers in my universities. Maybe it's quite many, but we cannot count. They are changing every day. You know, some students buy a new one, some students get the 2 or 3, but it's not good for government. Government should control all the ownership of the so-called the ICT asset. And also control of the offshore informations against the securities, you know, cyber crime and so on. And it's quite easy for us to say, you know, security issues, cyber security issues is the some problems by the computers. That's not good. More than half of the cyber security problems is run by the staff who do not understand the importance of the securities. Just they open the personal computers during the lunchtime and go out of the office. They lost their USB somewhere in the train. You know. So this is a human troubles, not on the computer itself. And last one, the preparation of the guidelines. So CIO must have the very strong initiative for so-called the ICT asset management, you know, databases and against the security issues on. So in that sense, we need the schedule as the workload to overcome these issues in e-government information system management. Okay, so since I don't have enough time, so I give you the conclusions. And as I said already, so just I summarize some of them. So e-government strategies at national and local linkage is very important. Except you know, some very complicated countries or very simple government structure, but usually we have national, central government and the local government has some misunderstandings on the communications for e-government or the separated budget for 2 entities. You know. So we need a really clear timeline roadmap in connected societies, like seamless organizations or online services or interoperabilities. And second is a shared administrative system within the central government with implementation of one-stop service and interoperabilities. You know, that's the world trend. So CIO must think about the installations of these activities. Third one is the training for ICT manpowers. The key to adopt new technologies such as cloud, big data, BCP, and cyber securities. So we need the really a good, excellent training systems, courseware. You know, everybody busy and everybody knows they should be trained because we have new technologies very rapidly to be deployed. So we need systematic capacity buildings. And APEC has the project which contains the capacity building for CIO 3-4 years ago, and I'm the co-chair of the project. But each government has a very excellent CIO systems, so we can share the some international standard of the courseware for capacity building, because we need the more expert to accommodate the new technologies, emerging technologies. And also international cooperation for best practices and lessons from other countries. And open government, open data for transparency and business, which I already explained. And effective evaluation system using PDCA cycles and enterprise architectures. We are doing the many important e-government activities, but we need the effective evaluation systems for them, like PDCA, evaluating the starting from a plan and do and check and actions. This PDCA is very common in Japan now. And also a need of the excellent government CIO as ICT leaders. We say Chief Information Officer. Chief means the top of the organizations for ICT activities. So if we don't have the conductor at the concert, it's a chaos on the concert. So CIO is conductors for government ICT activities. Now in the private companies, CIO is a part of the management, like a vice president. So CIO's position is upgraded in the private societies, private companies. I think the government also, you should upgrade the position of CIO to communicate with the top of the organizations. And also, we are thinking about the CIO activities in the ITU and, to propose the ITU CIO forum. And all the CIO in the government can gather together to prepare the new transformation of the e-government. Might be very important. Last one is our Waseda and IAC International E-Government Ranking Survey is extremely useful for evaluating major nations, and we are ready to contribute to development of the e-government in the world. And since time is just over, and I should say thank you very much for your attention. And I really stress to say as the last words, CIO as the Chief Information and Innovation Officer is very important in information societies. Thank you very much.